This is the second part of chapter 3, and you're going to learn about matrices. So a matrix is just an array of numbers enclosed in brackets. It looks like this right here, and we give it a name. So this is called matrix A. So let's talk about some characteristics of a matrix. It's made up of rows and columns. The rows are the horizontal lines, and the columns are the vertical ones. And so this particular matrix, matrix A, has 2 rows and 3 columns. And so we'll say it has dimensions 2 by 3, and we write it as 2x3, or the row and then the x, which means by, column. Okay? The other thing you want to know is, what is an entry? An entry is just a number that exists in the matrix. So 12 is an entry, 6 is an entry, -4, 0, -7, and 1. Those are all the entries for matrix A. Each of those entries has a specific location or an address, and you can tell someone which number you're talking about by giving the address. So, for instance, if I wanted to say, look at -7, but I just wanted to use its address, I would tell you which row it's in row 2, and which column it's in. Okay, so for example, -7 is in matrix A, row 2 and column 2, so we would write it like this. A, and then you're naming something, just like when we say y sub 1, and I say that's the y value from point 1, it tells you which one you want to use. So anytime you're naming something, you'll use the subscript, not an exponent. Exponents are superscripts. Okay? All right. So this is your row value, and this is your column value. So the format, you name the matrix big, the name is big, and then down below you'll put the row number and then the column number. No commas, no spaces, just like that. So let's look at this example. We're talking about sandwiches. There are 3 different types of sandwiches and 2 different sizes, and they all come in different prices. So the first thing says display the matrix. They just want you to draw what it would look like and name it matrix S. So S equals, draw a matrix. We're going to have 395, and if I were using a calculator, I wouldn't put in the $sign, but it's okay to show it here. 375 and 350, and then we have 595, $5.60, and $5.25. And there is our matrix, and we named it S. Now it says, what are the dimensions of S? Well, 1, 2, 3 rows, so it's a 3 by 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 columns. So the dimensions of S are 3 by 2. Now it says, what is entry 3, 2? Remember, row then column. In row 3, this row here, column 2, we have $5.25. And what is the address of 595? Well, 595 is here or here. And so it's in row 1. So we're going to name S. We're looking in matrix S, row 1, column 2. Okay? So those are the characteristics of matrices and how you can do some just identification things. Now let's talk about some operations. and we're only going to talk about adding and subtracting and scalar multiplication. Okay, if you are adding or subtracting, you have to be very careful. You can only add or subtract if they have the same dimensions. So W and Y are both 2 by 2. So we could add or subtract those, but I could not add or subtract W and X together because this is a 2 by 2 and this one's a 2 by 3. So those dimensions aren't the same. We wouldn't be able to add or subtract. Okay? W plus Y. We just said yes, we can do that. So I'm going to write down what W plus Y is. There is W. And there is Y. Now, all you do is just add the numbers that are in the same location in the matrices. So, and they're called corresponding because they're in the same location. So the 3 is in the top right. I will add it with the 1 because it's also in the top right. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Pretty easy, huh? Now, 1 is in the bottom. I said top right on that, and I meant to say top left. 1 is in the bottom left, and -2 is in the bottom left, so we're going to say -1 when you add those two together. Okay, keep going. So this is your result when you add matrix W with matrix Y. Let's try X minus Z. X minus Z, 4, 5, 7, 1, -2, -1, minus 2, 1, -2, 0, 3, 4. Okay, so be careful with the signs because you're subtracting. 4 minus 2. 5 minus 1. 7 minus a -2. Careful there. 7 minus -2. 1 minus 0. -2 minus 3. Watch what you're writing. -1 minus 4. And that should be our answer to X minus Z. Now, X plus Y. X plus Y. We cannot add them together because they do not have the same dimensions. So we'll say no solution. You could say undefined. You could say that the dimensions are not the same. Anything like that, dimensions are not the same, so I cannot find a value. Okay, let's talk about scalar multiplication. This is when you're not multiplying two matrices together, you're just multiplying a number times the matrix. So we're going to use the matrices from up here, and in this case I want to do 2 times W. 2 is the scalar. Okay, we're going to scale this up. So we're going to go 2 times, the matrix for W is 3, 1, -2, 0. I got that from above. And you just distribute, you give the 2, you multiply every number in here by 2. That's all there is to it. So we're going to end up with 6, 2, -4, and 0. And that's all for this video. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a good night.